And welcome to another exciting episode of the Click Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. I'm your host, Tim DLGG. And the man behind the sound effects, at least for right now, is at PCN_Dirt on Twitter. Say hi.
Why? Why should I?
So people know you're there.
They can hear the sound effects. They know I'm here. That was not the sound effect I was looking for, but it works, I guess.
I'm about to say it fit almost. At Agent_70 is running a little late, so he'll be joining us in shortly. And at Roddy Cat on Twitter is at work, so he sends his best through the comic book news tonight. Make sure to go to our website, theclicknation.com, where you can find previous episodes of the Comic Book Chronicles and comic book reviews. Go to Dirt's website, popculturenetwork.com as well. And follow the Twitter account at CBCron. Like the Facebook fan page, facebook.com/theclicknation. Add us to your circles on Google+. Just search for Declick Nation and join the Declick Nation community. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and youtube.com/theclicknation. On iTunes and Stitcher, just search for The Click Nation and make sure to give us 5-star reviews, give us the thumbs up, move up the podcast rankings. We are a part of the Cold Slither Podcasting Network. Go to cspn.us.
I'm never sure when you're pausing for the sound and when you're just taking a breath.
To make things difficult that way. Use the hashtag Comic Book Chronicles or CBCron on your favorite social media websites. Make sure to use them if you're just talking about comic books, so we can see, so we can get tagged in it. We may try to read your status updates live on the air.
And tell you how much you're wrong when you talk about your favorite comic book.
That's right. Let's see, we record live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're home on a Thursday night and you want to tune into the show live, just make sure you're subscribed on youtube.com/theclicknation or follow the Google Plus page, The Click Nation, and you'll be updated. Alrighty. Let's take a peek at the cinematic news for the week. Star Trek Voyager's Jerry Ryan is set to guest star in Arrow Season 4. So basically, the cinematic news is going to be a bunch of, this is casting news for this show and that show.
Do you know what character she's going to be on Arrow, or just the fact that she's on it?
That would involve me clicking on the link. Let's see. While that loads on my slow computer, the next bit of news is some more Arrow casting. J.R. Bourne joins as Flash villain. It says latest Arrow in quotation marks casting, because it says it's for a Flash villain, but talking about Arrow. Legends of Tomorrow teases cast, premise changes. This is not designed to go on forever. You mean a show with a finite number of seasons? That's kind of different. Until the CW network realizes how much money and how popular it is for their network, and then they keep pushing them out.
Well, I wonder if it'll end up being one of those things where the characters themselves are not that popular, but that TV universe is. So they do a couple years, and then it kind of morphs into, something vaguely, another team of DC characters that have popped up in the shows come together as a team and kind of takes over that slot. So you've got the Arrow slot, you've got the Flash slot, and then you've got that third slot that every couple years will rotate cast and be slightly different.
Yeah, they were saying that, at least what I had quickly read earlier in the week, they were saying that it may even have like a rotating cast. Change it up every season.
Just not a bad idea, really.
Yeah. Hawkman reportedly appearing on Flash and Arrow before Legends of Tomorrow. I guess to help set up Hawkgirl.
Yeah.
That actually might be kind of cool. I have no idea. I wonder how they'd introduce Hawkman. Because I'm not the biggest Hawkman. I'm not highly educated on Hawkman, put it that way. But I do keep hearing how his origin and background is very convoluted.
Yeah, well, there have been several different versions over the years. So sometimes he's an Egyptian god, and sometimes he's an alien from outer space, and sometimes he's a guy who finds an amulet that gives him the powers of the Egyptian god. It's just kind of one of those things where they can't really decide on what works best, and they just change it up every so often.
CBS's Supergirl announces beginning of production for behind-the-scenes video. Supergirl also adds Chris Browning as Reactron, assuming that's a villain. Reactron.
Sounds like a failed game console.
It sounds like that. There was a villain that was on season 2 of Young Justice, who I think has actually appeared in in the new 52. The guy that I don't know. Did you ever watch Young Justice?
I did, but it's been so long, I don't really remember a whole lot about it.
Remember the episode where I guess they introduced? I think it was the episode they introduced Impulse, and they fought that guy that was gonna like explode or whatever. It was like a villain that Neutron or something like that. His name was. That's who that name. Yeah. That's what that name reminds me of.
Whoa! What was that? Slumbering beast has awoken.
What's up, everybody? I'm here, turning on my effects as we speak. What's up, everybody?
Welcome.
I'm turning off my effects now. I'm handing the reins over to you.
You got it.
I've done a very poor job of it so far.
It's all right. I appreciate you stepping in, even if for a few minutes.
When you get in Agent 70, can you click on that first link in the cinematic news, see if it opens a lot faster for you than it does for me?
The first link in the cinematic news. We're talking
Star
about
Trek Voyager.
No problem.
We're trying to figure out who Jerry Ryan is supposed to be playing.
Oh, I got it. Ryan is set to play Jessica Danforth, a friend of the Queen family. Her political agenda will gain her the unwanted attention of a dangerous antagonist. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tyrese Gibson keeps talking about how he met with Warner Brothers for a possible Green Lantern role.
He can't just have the #1 album in the country. He has to have a role in Green Lantern, right?
So that's not going away until they actually tell him no, apparently.
Well, that's how you want to follow up, having a top-selling album, is to be in a Green Lantern movie.
Right.
I mean, of all the franchises you can go for, aim straight for the top, right?
Sure.
Bryan Singer reveals possibility of an X-Men Fantastic Four crossover film.
Oh, where is it? Where is it? Just stop. Please stop, Fox.
So Agent 70 is not amused.
Not at all. Well, here's some karma coming back at you, Fox.
So, I guess this hasn't been confirmed at all, but everyone's reporting that Channing Tatum is leaving the Gambit movie.
I just think that's amusing. When I read this, I thought it was pretty amusing because we're less than 2 weeks removed from San Diego and that big group picture that they took that Tatum was a part of. Of all the Fox, the cast of all the Fox Marvel movies.
Right.
And Stan Lee.
Exactly, and Stan Lee. Correct. I neglected to mention Stan, and now we've got Tatum reportedly, at least. They're I guess not sure what the future of the project's going to be because I think he's also listed as a producer. In addition to being the star of the movie, so who knows what's going to happen to the project if he leaves?
Well, but this is also unconfirmed rumors at this point. So.
True enough. True enough.
All right. Mark Hamill reportedly official for Batman: The Killing Joke adaptation to voice the Joker.
Is this official? I could have sworn I read something where they confirmed, or I guess they're very close to confirming it.
Yeah, there's probably another link farther down that's like confirmed.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as I know, it's confirmed. Marvel's Jessica Jones will go all the way dark, promises Rosenberg and Loeb. Oh. Okay. So Roddy Cat has added notes to the spreadsheet that I'll be reading some of them. I won't read that one because he says it doesn't have to be read. Along with Jessica Jones news, Netflix basically said when a bunch of the Marvel properties will be set to appear on their streaming service. They're looking to do two shows a year. I guess so twice a year. The Future Defenders event, I guess, is pushed back a couple of years. And if I remember correctly, depending on if a show is popular enough, they could squeeze in a second season before the Defenders launches, which of course is what Daredevil is doing.
Right. That's probably their best case scenario.
Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. star Chloe Bennett reveals Daisy Johnson haircut. There was also some casting news for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'll see if it's down here a little lower. Well, I guess one bit of news is they added the Limitless actor. Gotham reveals 2 more big villains for season 2. And Gotham promotes Drew Powell to series regular. Roddy Cat says, good deal for Butch. Whoever that is. USA orders IDW's Brooklyn Animal Control to pilot. As I tried to think of what USA Network's slogan is.
Characters Wanted? Is that
Characters Wanted.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Dirt. The first episode of Heroes Reborn digital series is now online.
This headline really confused me because because I was thinking, wait, you mean the Rob Liefeld Captain America made an online series? What? But it was not that.
Mention the next one, and then I'm going to make everyone feel real old.
Shaft getting remake from Blackish creator.
Yeah, when the sequel to Shaft with Sam Jackson was actually made or released?
The year you were born?
No, 2000. That's funny. In the year 2000, that's how recently we've had a Shaft movie.
A lot of people are not happy with this news, actually.
Oh, that it's being rebooted? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that it's going to be somewhat funny and comedic.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Well, Roddy Cat has a note that says, remake, fine. Make it comedic, no. Nope, nah, nyeh, negative. Ghost Rider, nuh-uh. Hell to the no, Bobby. Even when he's not here, he still contributes.
That's right.
We should give him a follow on Twitter, @RoddyCat.
There you go. And @NewsNerdsNeed.
Oh, thank you. Chris Pine reportedly closes Wonder Woman deal to play Steve Trevor, more than likely.
That's cool.
Dates for Wonder Woman and Justice League filming are confirmed. Colin Mulvey reportedly cast as KG Beast in Batman v Superman.
Yeah, this is one of those guys, one of the Hydra sleeper agents in S.H.I.E.L.D. in Cap Winter Soldier. One of the bigger guys. I guess it might have been Crossbones' main henchman.
Okay. Akiva Goldsman and Jeff Pinker are writing Transformers 5. With Roddycat has a note saying Akiva Goldsman, producer / screenwriter of I Am Legend, Fringe, and other stuff you've probably seen. Jeff Pinker, writer for Fringe, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Lost.
Yeah.
It's still Bayformers.
Correct.
You know, you can put gold paint on a turd. It's just a gold painted turd.
Mm-hmm.
Sherlock actor Jonathan Harris joined Star Wars Rogue One. This was kind of interesting.
Random Star Wars movie that's gonna just be, I think it's a bunch of short films or something. It's just weird. Cash money.
Mm-hmm.
Power Rangers fan film producer announces a dark superhero project for, I believe, HBO.
No kidding.
Yeah, saw that yesterday. So, HBO getting into superhero sweepstakes. A rumor, Jenna Malone is rumored again to be playing Barbara Gordon in Batman v Superman.
Okay. Here's that other Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast.
Yeah. Thank you. Constance Zimmer joins Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in recurring role. Many of you will know her as Dana Gordon from Entourage. And yet, she's at least rumored to be a member of yet another government agency. Because it's not like there's not enough of those on S.H.I.E.L.D. right now. And Battling Boy taps Academy Award winner Patrick Osborne to direct. I'm probably going to skip everything in this section. This is all interviews. Interviews. Yeah, okay. Let's see, comic book news.
Yay!
Marvel announces Spidey, a new ongoing all-ages Spider-Man comic.
Yay!
Yay, it's official!
Something else that's confirmed by Axel Alonso on CBR's Axel in Charge Friday article.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a Black Panther series. For those who doubted, because there are actually people out there. I talk to them online almost every day. Of course he's going to have a solo series. He has a movie coming out. So, I didn't know this, but I guess the Black Panther's 50th anniversary is in February 2016. Also Black History Month. Probably a good time to announce or to launch that book. So if my math is right, February 2016, so November 2015 would be when the solicits for February 2016 come out. So mark your calendars, people. Marvel Star Wars to sell more than 200,000 copies in collected edition.
Whew.
Marvel's hip hop covers exceed orders.
Well, wait, no, go back to that for a second.
Yeah.
What?
That's not what that means, actually. In order for retailers to order the Marvel hip hop covers, they have to exceed the orders of certain books with the books they're ordering in order to unlock the hip hop covers.
Oh, so you have to, like, for example, like...
It's an incentive?
Yeah, so here, listen. Okay, for instance, if you want the Amazing Spider-Man #1 hip-hop variant, then you have to order 150% of what you ordered for Spider-Man Renew Your Vows #2. So, for instance, if you order 20 copies of Renew Your Vows #2, you have to order 30 of Amazing Spider-Man #1 in order to unlock the ability to order the variants.
That's messed up.
Yeah, that's something that Marvel does a lot with their variants. It's to push orders to get higher and higher and higher.
Right.
Is that they base the number on 150%, 175%, 200% of a previous book so that you will order more. But not only are you ordering more, that's just so you can then go and order the variant. So a lot of these covers are going to be very rare because, they're already taking a gamble ordering more copies of a book, plus they have to order the variants on top of that, which means they think probably these extra books they're ordering are going to be left over and nobody wants to buy them because they all want to buy the variant. Or they're going to jack up the prices on the variant to offset the cost of these extra books that they're ordering.
Right.
So, like, Extraordinary X-Men #1, you have to order 200% of your numbers of All New X-Men 34. So you have to go back to that issue, look at what you ordered. And here's the other thing. Marvel does not give you those numbers. Diamond does not give you those numbers. You have to go back and look it up.
Oh, so it's for stuff that's already come out, too.
Yeah. And one of the ones that we're looking at is the Invincible Iron Man #1. You have to exceed 160%. I don't know why they came up with 160, but 160% of your Old Man Logan #1 orders.
Wow.
Now, Invincible Iron Man does not really sell that well for us, generally speaking, and Old Man Logan sold really well for us. So that's a variant that we won't get at our store because there's no way we're going to order
160% of that.
Yeah, there's just no way. That's an insane number of Iron Man to have in our store. Iron Man books just don't sell that well.
Wait a minute, but the Iron Man book hasn't come out yet, though.
Exactly.
Right, but what they're using as a basis for the calculation of how many you should order to get the variant, they're using an Old Man Logan book, which is odd to me because how can you base anything off of that if they're two different, wildly different characters? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but that's the way Marvel does a lot of this stuff to push orders up on stuff.
Sounds confusing.
Hello, Midtown Comics. I'm going to be camped out in Midtown Comics looking for these variants because they may not be coming to my little store.
I mean, some of them make sense the way they tie in together. Like the new Uncanny Inhumans series, you have to look at your numbers for the Uncanny Inhumans 0 that came out several months ago.
Right.
And you can look at that 0, and you have to order 150% of that 0 with your #1 to unlock the variant, which, I mean, that makes sense. It's that same series. But like the Iron Man, that one just doesn't make any sense. Blade is based off your numbers for Ms. Marvel.
Wow.
Try to figure out that one. Karnak is based off your numbers for a different issue of Ms. Marvel.
Wow.
So some of these just make absolutely no sense, and these aren't even all of the issues. There's only, I think, 19 of them so far that have been announced on this list, and they're doing 27 of them all together or something. I don't remember exactly what.
I can see them wanting to tie like Karnak and I forget what other one you said. Oh, Blade. Wanting to tie those to Miss Marvel because that's kind of like the little, it's not even a sleeper hit, but a new hit series. So they figure there might be some better numbers for Miss Marvel compared to.
But like Karnak is from the team that did Moon Knight, so why wouldn't you tie in the Moon Knight?
Right, because it's Inhumans.
But
They're
they'd
keeping
have
it
to
in
go back. They'd have
Inhumans
to go back to
universe, you
Warren.
know.
They'd have to go back to Warren Ellis's Moon Knight run, which
But
ended like sometime last year, right?
yeah. So still, if you're going to want these variants, find a place that's guaranteed that they are ordering them. They'll probably charge you extra,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to get ready to pay it because that's how it's going to work.
Hello, Midtown Comics.
There's actually a couple. There's a couple I might try to get. I don't know if I want to pay like $10 for it though. Actually, yeah, I might still. I don't buy physical copies that much.
Right. No, I was about to say, in all honesty, like the ones that I mean, obviously we haven't seen all of them yet, but you know, of the ones that I think people are going to be more readily able to get, the Amazing Spidey one, the whatchamacallit, the Midnight Marauders, A Tribe Called Quest homage is pretty cool. I think that's going to be you know, somewhat readily available, so I'm hoping to get at least that. You know, because you know people are going to order a lot of that Amazing Spider-Man, so.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
Moving on.
Greg Pak and Takashi Miyazawa announced Kaiju Clubhouse as a stretch goal for ABC Disgusting Kickstarter.
Right, their kids' book.
I'm assuming this goes back to another retail thing. Invincible Iron Man #1 to sell more than 200,000 copies.
and that's based on primarily the idea that Bendis is doing it. Bendis and Marquez from Miles Morales are doing the book, and also it's the first big hero book to come out after Secret Wars. So they're banking that a lot of people are going to want to see what the new Marvel Universe is, so they'll pick up Iron Man just to see how things have changed after Secret Wars.
Unless there's more delays.
Well, you know.
DC Universe Online, which is a massively multiplayer online game set in DC Universe, is episode 15 brings bombshells, Black Lanterns, and a paradigm shift to the game. I think I actually have that downloaded, I think, onto my PS3.
It's actually free to download on the PS3.
Yeah.
You just pay if you want to unlock like special VIP areas and special skins and stuff.
I believe I set it up to download overnight one night. Hercules returns, a new Marvel series by Abnett and Ross. Dan Abnett and Luke Ross.
And I like the cover image. The promo image looked pretty good.
Yeah. Actually, I need to post that press release on the website. Magnetic Press announces 10 new titles to kick off second year. Brian Bendis hints at second Iron Man series. Because, of course, Bendis has to write 2 comics for the same group or character. Because he has to have sister books. Sex Criminals #11 was already banned on iOS, but Grindhouse 7 is not.
Why was it banned? I didn't read the article.
It's explicit.
Oh, lame. Every
Every
issue of Sex Criminals is banned, I presume.
It's weird, though, because Grindhouse is from Dark Horse, and it's in the Dark Horse app. It's not in the Comixology app.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if different eyeballs are looking over what they're publishing, or if Dark Horse... Comixology does have a tendency to just say, we think this is going to be a problem, so we're just not going to do it until we hear that it's going to be okay. And I think Dark Horse is probably just along the lines of, we're just throwing it out there, and if they want us to pull it later, then we'll pull it later. But we'd rather, get a few bucks out of it before we have to pull it, as opposed to Comixology just wanting to play it safe and just, hey, we're all friends here, and not trying to rock the boat. So.
Right.
And Southern Bastards #10 was rejected from Apple Store, likely over set scene.
Apple, you prudes.
All right.
Do you want to do that? I was about to say, there's the Variant Corner. We have an ad, but did we have a chance to talk about Ant-Man yet? Are we going to do that on the show, or are we going to do Treasury Edition?
I don't know. We can save it for a Treasury Edition.
You didn't watch
Unless
it yet, Dirt?
I have not seen it yet.
you want to give like quick thoughts.
But I mean, I don't. You can spoil it for me. It's not gonna.
No. I recommend that you watch it, and I recommend you can actually take your kids to watch it.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'll say that much. It was I mean, it's like your average Marvel movie. It's not a Winter Soldier or Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's not Incredible Hulk either.
Ha! It's
Even though
enjoyable.
Even though it did around the same numbers, I suppose.
Mhm.
No wait, Incredible Hulk was the good one. It's Hulk that was the bad one.
Yeah, I wasn't too crazy about Incredible Hulk either, but I don't like Ed Norton, so.
Yeah, that might
Larry,
color.
he just called and he said he didn't like you either.
Glad to feel this mutual. I like that they introduced the quantum realm,
Mm-hmm.
and I like the after credit scenes.
Yes, the after credit scenes blew my mind because I avoided spoilers.
I did too.
So, I was genuinely happy to see the after credit scenes and, just be genuinely surprised and just, very happy to see it. Like I said, it's very, I guess we're just going to do a quick, I mean, if we want to do a more in-depth, we'll do a Treasury Edition, but very quickly, it's I believe other than a few swear words, it's pretty kid-friendly. The scope of the movie isn't as grandiose, kind of apropos to the character, so it's a smaller scale, so it's a little bit easier to digest in terms of like what's happening to who, like who's doing what and what's happening to either character or any character. So Dirt, like I said earlier, I think it's pretty kid friendly. So you can take a younger child to it.
Yeah.
And it does help to have watched Avengers: Age of Ultron before this. It does. I would, if there's anything, I would kind of warn people to not watch them out of sequence in this case, because you would be, there's a few scenes that don't make as much sense if you haven't seen Age of Ultron yet. All right. So I guess that's it. That's Ant-Man. Unless we want to go any deeper into it, we'll do a Treasury Edition. Be on the lookout for that.
All right. Anything else in the variant corner?
Let's see. Oh, Dirt. The information that you were talking about before about the hip hop covers, the infamous Roddy Cat actually pulled the order information.
No, I did that.
Oh, you did this? Oh,
Yes.
awesome! Awesome. Well,
Where?
the infamous Dirt, DIRT, put it in. That's awesome.
Flip down at the bottom where we have sheet 1 and sheet 2, right in between. It's the hip hop covers, and you can click and see the information on those covers I was talking about earlier.
Nice. Nice. Thanks for putting that in. That's very
Oh, the
interesting.
hip hop covers. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure to study that because I'll have a conversation with with my local comic shop or the comic shop that I use, and I don't know if he's going to be ordering enough to get these variants. I'm going to have to find my own way of getting them.
Because like some of these, I said you have to order 200%.
Mm-hmm.
Karnak #1 ordered 200% of your Ms. Marvel 14. Well, for us, Ms. Marvel is not a very big seller. We only get a handful of copies anyway. So
I'm surprised by that, by the way.
doing 200% of that is no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're at a store where maybe you're selling 14, 15 copies, now you got to order 30 copies in order to get that variant. That's quite a jump.
Just to get the variant, you'll have 30 regular copies.
I'm trying to figure out how to do this math. So, like, say you get like 10 copies of whatever book, the older book, and you have to get 200% of.
Double.
So just double it.
Yep.
Okay.
Alrighty.
And the other thing is, If those books had a variant attached to them, you very well may have ordered some of those books based on a percentage in order to get the variant for that book.
Yeah, because everything has a variant nowadays, it seems.
Yeah. So, like Future Imperfect 2, you may have had to order 125% of a Hulk book in order to get the variant for Future Imperfect 2. Now you have to order 175% of Future Imperfect 2 in order to get Contest of Champions #1 variant. So that's, like I said, that's something that Marvel does a lot, where they tie a variant into your sales numbers on the previous issue in order to bump up, which a lot of times just is artificial inflation on the sales numbers, and then you end up going to Comic-Con, 6 months later and finding long boxes of those issues selling at $1 or 4 for $1 or whatever.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Let me do the ad read for tonight. For you, the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. Let's see, you have books like The Best in the World at What I Have No Idea by Chris Jericho.
Oh, no.
The King of New Orleans, How the Junkyard Dog Became Professional Wrestling's First Black Superhero by Greg Klein. Wrestling for My Life, The Legend, the Reality, and the Faith of a WWE Superstar by Shawn Michaels. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/comicbookchronicles. Again, that's audibletrial.com/comicbookchronicles. Do it today.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty.
While I quickly try to fill in my my list of books read this week.
Did anybody else get a chance to read the Justice League Gods and Monsters?
Nay.
No.
Okay. Did anybody read the Batman one last week?
Nay.
No.
Okay. Let me just say quickly, because I wasn't on last week, the Batman one was really good. It was one of those where they took the story on an interesting journey. It was a twist. It's not Bruce Wayne as Batman. Batman is a different character from head to toe. Just the Bat theme is the only thing that is familiar between the characters. So it was a interesting take on the character, but the artwork in it was fantastic. And that was one of the main things that really drew me into the Gods and Monsters Batman, was the artwork. So the Gods and Monsters Superman comes out this week, and so I figured I'd give it a shot as well. Animated movie I'll be watching this weekend. And so just to put it in a nutshell, the artwork is fine. The story in this is stupid. Is not very good. I'm trying to put this as nicely as I
That's awful.
can. Basically, if you can imagine Superman being the most self-absorbed, douchey, whiny, pathetic guy who whines and complains through the entire book until finally he finds somebody who's douchier and meaner than he is. So he attacks that guy, and by doing so, he becomes a hero. That's basically the plot of this book. So,
Okay.
I guess if you're just a huge, awful, ignorant person, as long as you find someone who's worse than you are, and you beat them up, that's a good way to become a hero.
Wow.
And it's not even like he learns a lesson from it. It's not like he's changed at the end of the book. It's just that now he's empowered, and so there you go. So I gotta say I did not enjoy it.
Wow.
Which is a shame, because I enjoyed the Batman one a lot. But I think the Wonder Woman one is being released next week, so I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
I'll at least give it the benefit. But this was
How many one shots is it supposed to be?
I can only think of the 3. The Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Keep
I
it
think
to the
those are-
Trinity, I guess.
Yeah, those are the main three. Although, I mean, there very well could be a Flash and a Green Lantern. I didn't pay that close attention. This was a digital first series available on Comixology, and then they, took the digital pieces and replaced them together to make comic pages and printed it out. So technically, you could have read this a month ago if you were reading it through Comixology.
Got it.
All right.
I want to hear about Shield number 8.
Oh, Roddy Cat's favorite book this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily see what Roddy's problem with this book was. This is probably one of my least favorite, excuse me, issues of Marvel's Shield book, as it's been relaunched, trying to tie into Marvel's Agents of Shield on television. This issue focuses on kind of a variation on human trafficking, but it's folks who are getting super abilities through surgery, and Mockingbird and Agent May are tasked with hunting down the source of of these surgeries and neutralizing that. And I don't necessarily see what Roddy's real issues with the book are. My biggest issue is, in reading and listening to the voice of Mockingbird, the Bobby Morse that I've known in the Marvel Universe, that voice is not evident in this, in this character. This sounds far more like something you would hear Adrienne Palicki say on the television show. Like many of the things that she says in this book sound like they're lifted, or at least would sound like they were in a TV script for the show, and that's a little jarring. But some of the other references, some of the other criticisms that Roddy Cat shared with us off the air, I didn't quite see even on a second reading. So it'd be nice if Roddy chimed in via Twitter or maybe when he's able to join us next to kind of air out his griefs against this issue. I mean, it wasn't bad. I rather like seeing Agent May getting some shine. Anything to see the Asian American female character get some shine is a good thing.
Who's breathing in their microphone?
That's probably the fan that's in my background. I'll shut it down. Is it gone?
I could, yeah.
It's gone.
I couldn't tell if someone was doing some heavy breathing, like thinking about Shield, the TV show.
No, it's just a fan because it's hot as sin up here in the Northeast, man. I'll try to find a different fan, or turn on the AC in a far room. But anyway, that's my take on Shield number 8.
Okay, I was gonna get to it eventually. It's funny, I wasn't really paying attention to the Shield book until I think it was like the Doctor Strange issue, maybe like 2 issues ago. I started kind of reading the story, and I see like the stories continued.
Right.
I thought they were gonna be like one and done stories. I like everything that doesn't involve the cast of Agents of Shield people in it.
Ah, that's funny.
Just feels too shoehorned.
You know what? I honestly don't mind it. I like seeing them shoehorned into Marvel continuity, but it's weird seeing Bobby Morse's character on the TV show being shoehorned into Marvel continuity because, for God's sake, the character's already there. All right, how about, let me take a look at everybody else's list, see what you guys read. All right, let's talk about something that we may have liked.
I mean, I'm sure we all like Thor's too.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm saving that one. I want to hit some of the other books.
Okay.
Dirt, I want to hear your take on Deathlock 10, because this is my first issue in a long time, and I liked it. And is this the last issue before it relaunches, or?
No, this is the end. This is the end.
There's no relaunching as of now.
Oh, no kidding.
I tweeted Nathan Edmondson, and he tweeted back that indeed this is the end of the run.
Wow.
which is like 3 of my favorite books ended this week.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also a short week. I mean, there wasn't a lot of books out this week, so there wasn't a lot to read, and I was excited that I was getting 3 of my favorite books, and all 3 ended this week. Really sad, but I felt that Deathlock ended as strong as it began. I mean, this was a very powerful issue. This, when you talk about people who are spies, people working for the secret government organizations and things like that, you wonder how can they do things like keep their family safe? How can they keep their secret identity, safe? And this tackles that stuff head first and shows you just, that you can't always be in control, and being the hero doesn't always put you on top. And I was really, I got to the end of this book and I was like, oh, I can't wait to read the next one. And then I just noticed down the bottom there was no, like, to be continued or next month, see this and blah, blah, blah. It was just that little Deathlock symbol. So
Right, you picked up exactly on what I was thinking. I realized it was the end of this particular arc. I did not know it was the end of the series.
Yep. And so it's only 10 issues now. You've got a concrete beginning and end, and I recommend to anybody, if you love the Jason Bourne movies, the new Bond movies, any of that type, Mission Impossible type stuff, the Secret Agent, high-tech type of stuff that goes on, and especially this one gets pretty dark and gritty, and lots of people getting shot and explosions, and all of that good stuff that I love. This is a great series for that, and it pulled all the right action strings, and it pulled some emotional strings, and you got surprises in this book. Like, you got stuff that happened that I want to see the fallout from, which I'm not going to see unless maybe 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, they do a 6-issue miniseries or something just to kind of pick up, or maybe he'll show up in the pages of New Avengers or something, after all the Secret Wars stuff. But like I was so intrigued by the stuff that happened in this issue, and then I got to the end, and I thought, oh no, this can't be the end. And sure enough, Nathan Edmondson tweeted back that this is it, it's over.
Wow.
So I've never been so excited for an ending that I didn't realize was an ending.
Listen,
so it was a good ending.
It was, and I liked the mini arc that was in this issue, because without knowing too much of what happened in the last issue, I kind of figured out that the current iteration of Deathlock had come to a point where he was emancipating himself from his controllers, and the act of gaining his freedom, he, I love how it all comes back to the original look of Deathlock, where we get the half bionic, the half metallic head look from the classic Deathlock, and I loved how we got to that point. That was pretty cool. That was a nice little touch.
Yeah, so it's definitely, if you've got a local comic book shop that has a bunch of these sitting on the shelf, gathering dust, go in and grab the series, because it's great.
Cool. All right. Speaking of the books that you read that have ended, how about Black Widow number 20?
Oh, another sad. Well, okay. If this issue teaches us anything, it's how far Natasha has come from being the absolute horrible person that she was in her youth.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if I would characterize her as a horrible person.
She was a pretty horrible person in this
She's a
issue.
product of the Red Room.
She shot a cat
for
being a cat.
Well, no witnesses.
That wasn't... Oh, yeah. Scruffles, did you see anything? Yeah. I mean, she had to get rid of her emotional entanglements, and this was her friend's cat. She killed her friend, so why not kill her friend's cat? There you go. But man, everything that happens in this book just shows you just how brainwashed she was.
Right.
How much she was just willing to do whatever she was told and be a part of the team. And so when you see her, talking about her struggles of where she came from and what she's been through, and how hard she fights to redeem herself, you can hear her say that she wants to redeem herself for the bad things that she's done, and you go, yeah, okay, whatever. but then you actually see the bad things that she has done, which are just really terrible things that she's responsible for. It just means a whole lot more to the character to see her redeem herself. So this is one of those stories where you get to the end and you see how bad it was. Now I kind of want to go back to the earlier issues where she's talking about redeeming herself and making up for it. Now that I know, where she came from. Like, I almost wish this arc was earlier in the run because it gives a better setup for the stand that she makes later on in her life, earlier on in this series, standing up to certain people.
That I understand where you're coming from on that. I would tend to agree with that. I like that Edmondson used the setup of the final incursion, the lead up to Secret Wars, to tell this particular story. But I agree that it would have been better used earlier on to help set up other things.
Right.
Cool. All right. What was the third book that was it Deep State number 8?
It was Deep State number 8.
You want to get into? I didn't read that one. I don't have anything to contribute to that.
That's another one where I got to the end and I thought, oh no, is this the end? And so I tweeted at Justin Jordan, and sure enough, he tweeted back that this is the end.
Oh wow!
Unless there's massive trade paperback sales, this is the end of the series, which is a shame. This is the series about the secret government agents who are basically the opposite of the X-Files. These are the ones that go and cover up the alien invasions and cover up the people with the secret powers and the advanced technology and take out people who know too much and do that type of stuff. And this issue 7 and issue 8 are you really have to read them together. They are really meant to be read as one story. And this is an issue where everything that you've known up to this point gets flipped around, and you find out that the conspiracy that you knew was the conspiracy you were allowed to know, because that conspiracy covered up the conspiracy that ran underneath everything of what was really happening. Like, it's just one of those things where as soon as a secret is revealed, another secret takes its place. And so I was really intrigued. Like, I had to read through it, I think, 3 times before I finally felt like I had a handle on who everybody was and where they came from. And people had their minds wiped and replaced with other personalities, and memories were implanted, and you had people who were double agents, but they were on the same side. On both sides, they were just working for 2 different branches of the government, working towards the same end. But it was just so many layers and so much stuff going on that probably this is stuff that would have come out over the course of a 2-year run. But the series was ending; it was canceled, so he had to hurry up and get through all the material. But I mean, it absolutely blew my mind getting through this issue, and I was. I just couldn't believe all of the awesome things that happened. And then, of course, you get to the end. Oh, wait. There's no next month. There's no next issue. Oh, crap. This is the final issue. This sucks. 3 of my favorite series, they all ended this week. This was the 3rd one. So, sad to see it go, but definitely it's only 8 issues. Probably be a single trade. When it comes out in trades, or you can run to your local comic shop, grab it because it's only 8. It's worth reading. It's definitely really good. Good conspiracy, government cover-up kind of stuff. So, fantastic series. Sad to see it go.
A lot of potential clicks of the week for Doug.
Yeah, it was tough figuring out, but I'm pretty satisfied with my pick.
Cool.
I could talk about the 2 Batgirl books this week.
Well, I read 42. I skimmed it, just to see. I happened to see some of the back and forth earlier in the week about and with some of the Twitter conversations with at MattWang97, who is actively watching. And when I say actively, he's tweeting at us while he's watching tonight's show.
I don't have my Twitter turned on. I guess I better do that.
So I saw some of the exchanges about Batgirl, so I happened to flip through Batgirl 42 on my way home tonight. The long commute, and without reading too much into it, I kind of got a sense that it's a fun read, and if I wanted to sit down and really read it, I might enjoy it more. But it seemed fun, at least.
Yeah, it's a fun series. It still involves the guest appearance of the new Batman, which is Barbara Gordon's father.
It's all in the family.
Yeah. And villain Livewire, who comes from the animated TV world for DC.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to remember what else, nothing major besides just that battle and that conclusion happens. I really did enjoy the annual more. It was like 3 or 4 stories that all tied together in one. Each story had a different artistic team on it. The artist Bengal did the Grayson and Helena. I forget what her last name is.
Is it Bertinelli?
Yeah. Whatever her last name is. Is it Bertinelli? Or that's an actress, isn't it?
Yeah, Valerie Bertinelli.
Yeah, Valerie Bertinelli is who I'm thinking of. Whoever the head lady of Spiral, he does the art for that portion of it, where, of course, Dick Grayson's dead, so he's trying to avoid Batgirl. And there's one scene where she thinks, like, he uses his hypnose for parts of it, so he looks different when she looks at him, but then there's one scene where she sees him and she's like, you look familiar to me. So that was funny. Second part was done by David LaFuente, and that was a spoiler team up with Batgirl. Third part was a team up with Batwoman, drawn by Ming Doyle. And the final section was a Gotham Academy crossover with the lady whose name escapes me. She's done the fill-in art in Gotham Academy. So it was all one story crossing over.
So it was one, like the stories were connected even though they were separate?
Yes. But Batgirl's chasing down the same villain or villains throughout all portions of it. And then they tease there could be more of this to come later on. More than likely, it'll be when Robin War starts.
Okay.
But yeah, just a fun annual comic with different art teams, same writers for Batgirl throughout. And since they're all in the same family of Gotham Academy and all the different female Bat sidekicks, I guess they were just missing Bluebird and someone else that just escaped my mind. Oh, Black Canary. Were the only ones missing. And speaking of Bluebird, she's been out of sight lately, hasn't she? Since Batman Eternal ended, seems like.
I barely know who you're talking about.
She's the Harper Row character that was introduced a while ago.
Okay.
Oh, and during the spoiler portion, apparently she's guest starred in an issue of Catwoman, which I did not know that. Because she's been hiding since the end of Batman Eternal also. Hiding, i.e. not being used. But she appears in Catwoman 41 or 42, I think they said. So.
All right.
It was a light Marvel week, because we haven't even talked about any of their books yet.
Well, we covered a couple right away in Deathlock and Black Widow.
Oh, that's right.
I actually wanted to speak about Superman 42.
Okay. Speak on it.
Because I see Dirt's note, and I sort of understand what, first I wanted to start with, what's on the cover, and I didn't realize that this was the actual cover. What's on the cover is the second part of the one of the catchphrases that's associated with Superman, which is truth, justice, and the American way. So the second word appears in the cover, and it's justice. I happened to get the Teen Titans Go variant this week, so I didn't.
Yeah, so did I. Yep. I love this cover. This cover's great.
Yeah, great cover. So because I got this, I did not realize until I read this in our academic review copy that the second word on the cover had become justice, and maybe that's a real hint as to what or why Lois, spoiler alert, why Lois ends up doing what she does. What's already been alluded to in some of the other Superman books, that she outs Clark as Superman, and we get to the confrontation between the two here in this issue, where she basically reveals Clark to be Superman, and it's kind of meh.
It's this exact scene that's on the cover is the scene that's in the book, where I don't know. To me, it just felt like very forced. Where she's like, "Well, let's talk about this. You never seem to be around when Superman's around, and you just fought these cyborg ninja guys. Let's face it." And she just rips his shirt open. "You're Superman." And it's like, well, what?
Yeah.
So they finally made it realistic. They had a realistic conversation.
Well, you know what's funny is that
run up and rip his clothes off in order to show that. What if he wasn't wearing the shirt underneath?
Right. See, what's funny about that? What's funny about what Tim says to me is it's supposedly a more realistic confrontation, but if you keep reading the book, it ceases to be anything close to realistic when we deal with the antagonist in the book. Exactly, the antagonist that leads to, and spoiler alert again, I guess we're going to, one of the events that happens in this book, it directly leads to the current status quo of the mostly depowered Superman.
And it's so random.
Yes.
And unexplained, and it's not followed up or mentioned in any of the other books that are set in the future beyond this.
Mm-hmm.
At no point is there a mystery of who that was, or how to get his powers back, or any of this. You just have this random scene that comes out of nowhere, and then it's over and gone, and it's okay.
They want to give Gene Yang a chance to tell a story, and I see that, and this is definitely a byproduct of the DCU universe, right?
Where they're not everything is in
exactly. Not everything is working in lockstep, and continuity isn't. They're not necessarily slaves to the continuity. So, I think we have to temper our expectations as to how this story is going to be slowly unfolded. When because we can't. It's not what we're used to anymore. Because you'd think that all this stuff would be happening across the Superman books, but really it's only happening across two of them. It's happening across Action and this. So really, Action is telling one story that's like the aftermath, and this is telling how we got to that point. So we I think we need to be a little bit more patient with the way this story is being told. I just wasn't a fan of, who is this guy? It's just sort of it's kind of like a weird, a villain with a weird, yeah, it was just a weird setup. I don't know.
You can. I don't know how much of this we want to spoil. But
I rang the bell already, so.
But you can make the argument there is another character in the DC universe with a power set like the villain who attacked him and took away his powers.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't appear to be that character.
Yeah, it's not Parasite. So it doesn't look like it.
Well, I was trying not to name him, but okay.
Well, I don't care. I rang the bell. I'm empowered. I rang the damn bell.
But the point being, though, is that it's not him, so it's some other random character that they've created that appears to have basically the same power. So why is there this need? So hopefully there's an explanation coming as to why they needed a second character with the same power set that I hope is something more than just the fact that he's going to get blown up at the end of it, so they needed a guy that they could throw away.
I didn't read it so much as having the same power set. I think that how I read it, at least, was someone who, and without spoiling everything, basically steps into the process of Superman using his latest superpower. And it's funny how they basically introduced the superpower to depower Superman.
Well, and it's also a character that seemingly has no connection to the place and time where they were.
Mm-hmm.
Because the villain that they were fighting at that particular time and the environment that they were in didn't really lead itself to having a guy like this just hanging out in the back room waiting for someone to come to attack.
Right.
So whoever this character is, you know, he apparently just happened to be at the right place at the right time and took advantage of the situation, which again just kind of adds to the randomness of everything. There was no like foreshadowing that there's this guy waiting there, you know, for the moment to strike or anything like that. It's just in the middle of the story, someone goes, "Hey, Superman!" He looks over, "What?" And then
who are you?
And there it is, and it's done. And then the guy walks away, and you never see him again.
Yeah. So yeah, no. In all, I see what you mean. I'm willing to give. I feel like more is going to be explained in the next issue. This was kind of a real setup issue.
Well, and that's also kind of the thing that you have to go with, is that this very well may redeem itself at some point down the line as the story goes along. But as for right now, at this point in time, I am not satisfied.
Understood. And I understand exactly why you would feel that way. I'm willing to give it, you know, at least another issue before I completely jump ship.
It's Superman. I'm going to read it regardless. I mean, you know, he could end up working in a Chinese restaurant with no powers.
Oh no!
50 issues, and I'll still read it because that's just, you know, how it goes. But yeah, just not satisfying.
All right. How about Star Wars #7?
Fun little one-off story.
I was also not enthusiastic about this issue either.
I thought the story. I enjoyed, you know, just the one-off, you know, tale from the Chronicle or the Journal of Ben Kenobi. I guess I hate the one thing I don't like about the Jedi is how passive they are. It's like, oh, you know, we can't have any emotions. So go sit in this cave forever and don't do anything, but just watch over the boy. It's like he can't have any type of life whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. My biggest problem was that it just didn't feel like it flowed with the rest of the story that we've been getting for the last 6 issues, and the story we've been getting in Darth Vader, how it tied together. It's now the brakes hit, and you stop the flow of everything that was happening, and then you get this, you know, technically a throwaway story, because we know, you know, how it ends. This is covering ground even farther in the past, you know, so. It just kind of felt like you really could skip this. Like if you were reading the Star Wars books, there's really, unless you desperately want to know every bit of Star Wars lore, this isn't really like a key issue or anything that felt all that important. It just felt like they were, you know, biding time until they can get the new artist in to finish his pages.
I think it's a bit of that. I think that if you read the first paragraph in the letter section, you know, it's communication from the editor, and it says, you know, it's from Jordan White, the Star Wars editor. He says, "Welcome to our first issue exploring the journals of Old Ben. How did you like our tale of that crazy old wizard? Do you want to see more of his exploits? You'll have to write in to let them know at StarWars@Marvel.com." So, you know, I think it's partly a placeholder to allow the next, was it Stuart Immonen?
Yeah.
Yes.
To allow Stuart Immonen to jump on board and get caught up in the wake of Cassidy's departure of the book, or at least his temporary hiatus from the book. And also, I think it gives them an opportunity to sort of test the waters on possible limited series exploring Ben Kenobi.
Well, I would have just assumed that they, at some point that third slot that was Princess Leia, now it's Lando. Next, I think it's what,
Chewbacca. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just assume that there would be a Ben Kenobi in that at some point because they have to explore, the characters, and so it just kind of felt like it was something that would have been part of one of those.
Yes and no, because we've already seen a lot of Ben Kenobi in the original trilogy, so you know what I mean?
I can see
Not the original
Well, we
trilogy.
saw a lot of Princess Leia in the original
The prequel trilogy.
trilogy.
I can see them doing a Ben Kenobi miniseries if they had actually set him up in this story to be more active, instead of just like sitting around waiting around.
5 issues of just Ben Kenobi sitting in a cave meditating.
Yeah.
No, I think
that's what I would expect after reading that story.
I also wasn't too hot on the artwork. There were a lot of times when force powers are being used and like rocks are being thrown, and the way the artwork is, you couldn't like
the perspective
Yeah, the artwork a lot of times Bianchi just kind of does like almost like an outline, like a silhouette, and then fills in the character with shading and color. So you end up with when they're being hit by an object, it's like the person's outline of their body and the object are one outline, and then it's just kind of color and shading, filling in there. And so a lot of times I was kind of looking at these panels going, well, wait, what exactly is going on here?
I agree.
And you're dealing with these aliens and these weird, these people with these bounty hunters and hitmen, whatever, for Jabba the Hutt, and so they've got weird anatomy and masks on and just kind of weird stuff. So then some random object flies along and hits a guy in the head, and it's kind of hard to make out where exactly does the anatomy end and the blunt object begin on some of these panels.
Right. I mean, one of the real awkward scenes, there's a scene of young Luke Skywalker getting dumped on his head, and I thought that was probably one of the worst things I've ever seen Bianchi draw. And I'm familiar with Bianchi's art from, he did a lot of Wolverine, and that similarly was sometimes very hard to follow. The panels are just very poorly laid out, and I can definitely understand why you would be able to, why you were having some trouble following the art in this. It's nice that it's a one and done. I don't know if I would want to read an entire arc by him doing Star Wars. That would be a real turnoff for me if I heard that he was going to be on for like 3 or 4 consecutive issues. We see how spoiled we are by reading Cassidy's spot on likenesses, right?
Yeah. So I was just not overly plussed with this issue.
Understood. Let's see. Dirt, I read this right before I got off the bus today on the way home. Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies #2. I see from your notes that you had a couple of quick things to say about that.
I did enjoy the fact that Robinson understands that Ultron is more than just a Terminator. That there is an intelligence to Ultron, and so I appreciated the fact that they tried to do something with that. And of course, the zombies they were a running joke for a long time, and they're just kind of played the same way, but at least they tried to do some sort of interaction between Ultron and the zombies that kind of makes sense in the idea of Battleworld and these kingdoms and dealing with everything else that's going on. But at the same time, I didn't like the fact that you have this band of survivors in the Deadlands or wherever they're at, and it just seems like they have one of everybody from all these different timelines that have somehow just managed to survive, so that they can just reassemble and rejoin. And we need a Henry Pym to come in and do some stuff. Oh, look, here's one from the Old West world. He has survived. We'll bring him in because apparently they're all interchangeable. It's that you grab a Hank Pym from the Old West and it's the same guy.
He'll learn.
He'll figure it out. Here's a bunch of specs and some computer stuff. Go mess with it. You'll get it because you're the same person. Even though you lived in 1882.
Right, and he doesn't even know what the word artificial is.
Right.
So you know what's funny is that I enjoyed this for that same reason. Is that they're pulling these disparate characters from these different worlds and saying, you know what, you're close enough. We can make it work. I actually liked how I liked how surprisingly coherent the story is, and I credit Robinson and obviously Pugh's art. This is the same creative team from Invaders, and I love how coherent this read. This book made sense from start to finish, and I would not expect that from a book that involves anything related to Marvel Zombies.
Considering the title of the book is Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies, you don't have the highest expectations.
Exactly, and that's why, maybe it's a low bar that we've set. I don't know, but I'm very, very much surprised and impressed by how, with the story that Robinson is telling, and I'm glad that he's using some of the characters that he's using, and that last splash page, not to spoil anything. But that was kind of surprising to see who is, in fact, the head zombie.
Yeah. I enjoyed the book more than I probably should, but at the same time, it's by no means like the best thing that came out this week. Considering it's not the
it's not the best thing, but like I said, it's a surprisingly
definitely enjoyable.
Yeah, no, but isn't it funny that the story actually kind of followed, followed steps and made some sense going from start to finish?
Especially considering
the subjects. Exactly.
Well, it's
characters.
Like, there's no way that this should make any sense.
Right.
So, yeah. It's definitely one that I found myself, I remember the only reason why I got the first one is because for some reason we ordered a bunch of copies and nobody signed up for it. So I was like, well, okay, nobody's reading this. I'll grab one just to see, what's actually going on. We've got tons of them sitting here. So one coming off the shelf for me to read it is not going to bother anybody. And I was actually kind of surprised how much I enjoyed it. I've said kinda a lot tonight, I've just realized. Some people say like with every sentence. I'm throwing in kinda 10 million times tonight. But anyway, I enjoyed it a lot more than I probably should have, and it's a series that I will be sticking with throughout the run of Secret Wars, much to my own surprise.
Exactly, same. And Dirt, isn't this a kind of a running theme for a lot of these Secret Wars books? We're kind of all pleasantly surprised by the quality of the stories that are being told.
But some books, like X-Men '92, if you've actually tried to read it, it's terrible.
Oh, I've never tried. Yeah, it's just awful. But no, I'm
talking one.
Yeah.
This is one that people were excited for. It's like that era of the X-Men that everybody remembers. It's the era of the cartoon series and the Jim Lee series, and everyone was looking forward to it, and it's just awful. And then you get Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies. It's actually fun and entertaining and somewhat satisfying.
Exactly. So
same can be said for Thor's.
Oh, you want to get to it now?
Might as well. That's the last book I read for the week.
Let's do it. Oh my goodness. So much fun reading this. So crazy.
It's every little piece of the Thor mythology, from every incarnation of the character, from every take on who he is and where he's from, and every supporting cast member has all been just lumped together, and it's so great. Like it's
Law and Order.
It is, and it works.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is that it work again. This is one of those concepts that should not work, and yet it does.
Can we just say that Jason Aaron is Marvel's best writer right now?
I would. It's hard to disagree.
Nathan Edmondson is still higher on the list for me, but this is still good.
Yeah, no, this was great stuff. You know,
I like the inclusion of Thor Odinson.
Yes, definitely the Odin son interaction and how they used to call you the Mighty. I'm like, yeah, son, that's right. I thought that was quality stuff.
And the fact that you have, like the Ultimate Thor. So many people hated Ultimate Thor in the Ultimate books because he was a completely different version of the character. He was a pretty boy, movie star type version of Thor, and just people thought there's no way to make that character work, technically. Like there's no way to make that character likable. And this series has done it. People like the Ultimate Thor after reading this series because it is the same character. It's the same
he's not acting like a hippie though.
Well, but it's the same when you look at how he acts compared to how the Mighty Thor acts compared to how everybody has their own distinct personality that comes from their own run, from their own version, from their own time period. Plus you're throwing in references to Donald Blake, and you're throwing in all these other character names that pop up here and there that have some place within the story. It feels much more like Jason Aaron basically had a whole bunch of Post-it notes and wrote down everything that had anything to do with Thor and put them on the wall, and then just started rearranging them until every reference had a spot in the story and it all flowed and made sense.
It's basically what happened.
I enjoyed this. I love reading this. This is so good.
And
I wish the Thor that died last issue got to stick around a little longer.
Well, yeah, I agree there. But this is another book. It's hard to explain to people why it's so good, because really what it comes down to is it's a cop show. I mean, that's really what it is. It's a cop show with a bunch of Thors, which again is a concept that should not work on any level. You have to experience it. You just have to do it in order to understand. Like, you can't get it until you get it.
That's so funny. It's so funny.
But I love, this is one of those where I definitely can tell that, when it's time for the third issue to roll around, I'm going to sit back down and read 1 and 2, to then read 3, because I enjoy them that much. Then when 4 comes out, I'm probably going to read 1, 2, and 3 again in order to get ready for 4. Because, it doesn't take you more than 10 minutes to probably read through the issue. Especially if you've read it once before, you know what's going to happen. It's going to take 5, but still, it's so enjoyable to go and just.
Well, unless you're doing what I do, and I start picking apart Chris Sprouse's artwork, looking for all the various Thor incarnations I can recognize in the big group shots.
Yeah, that is something else that's fun to
do. So I'm like, I remember I remember that story when that version of Thor was around, or that costume was worn. So,
or when a Thor is talking, and then you realize it's not Thor that's talking, it's the frog Thor sitting on his shoulder that's talking, that was sitting in the shadow.
Yeah, it took me a minute to catch that. Oh, and I noticed in the credits for artists, it had Chris Sprouse and some other guy's name who I can't pronounce. Wasn't that the...
Zuka?
Yeah.
Lauren Zuka? Okay.
I didn't notice any artistic change anywhere, unless the other guy did, layouts or something. I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I want to say that's the same artist that did the Mark Millar comic from this year. I might have my guys mixed up, and now I can't think. Starlight?
Oh, the image book?
Yeah, that's the image book. I probably have my artists mixed up, though.
But yeah, Thor's is a great read.
Yes, absolutely.
It may, in fact, even be one of those where, at some point down the line, when I'm at a convention and people have those trade paperbacks that they're all selling for 50% off or whatever. I may just pick up a copy to have on the shelf. So in 5 years I can just pull it off the shelf and read it again.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So, good stuff.
Yes.
Definitely good stuff.
Cool. All right. Let's see. What else did we read? Tim, is there anything I'm missing? Oh no, we already got all of Tim's books.
Yeah, you've done all of mine.
I did not read it, but I just wanted to point out that Sex Criminals 11. If you want to pick a copy of this, it is polybagged.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily because of the contents on the inside, but because they printed 1,000 copies with a sketch cover, a blank cover, and Fraction and Darsky, I guess is how you pronounce his name. They sat down in a comic shop. Yeah, they sat down in a comic shop over a weekend, and they drew on all 1,000 covers, doing sketches and writing little notes on them, and they put them in a black poly bag, and then put the black poly bag inside the pink poly bag, and randomly inserted them into the print run of the comics. So if you go out and buy a copy and open it up, you may just have a regular version of the comic, or you may have one of the 1,000 randomly inserted sketch covers.
Ooh. I feel like getting me a copy now. Try my luck.
If you can find one that's polybagged.
Your odds are 35 to 1 that you'll end up with a sketch cover. Because I did the math. I looked up the print run and figured it out. Your odds are 35 to 1. So if you buy 35 copies, you should get one in there.
Never tell me the odds.
Assuming the chunk is in order. But nonetheless, yeah, there's something to look forward to if you're feeling lucky.
I actually read the book because when I was at the local comic shop, they had already sold out of their small order of Sex Criminals number 11 because of, it's the first issue in the next volume, or at least the next storyline. And I read it, not being all that familiar with how the previous arc ended. It seems like it's a decent place to hop on. So, if this is something that you were looking to get into, I still recommend going back to the beginning and trying to catch up. There's plenty of trade paperbacks now collecting the first 10 issues. So, get that. And then, but if you can't get that and you want to just try to jump on, this isn't the worst place to jump on.
Did you happen to read your girlfriend's book that came out this week?
I did. Hacktivist Volume 2, Number 1, created by your girl and mine, Alyssa Milano. What's up, Alyssa Milano? How you doing? Shout out. So this is a pretty much a direct continuation of the first volume of Hacktivist, where we have these socially conscious. I don't want to call them hackers per se, but they're definitely in that vein. Computer programmers and the proprietors of a Facebook type website, social networking type website, and this is a direct continuation of what happens when one of them joins the government, the other one goes underground as a result of what happens in the first story, and there's a new third player or group of players on the field who are passing themselves off as this group of socially conscious hackers, and they're causing havoc, and they're going after members of the 1% of the of society, the upper crust, the very, very rich, and that's where we start. We'll see where the story goes. One of the real strengths of this book is the solid storytelling by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing. But honestly, what keeps me flipping the pages is the art by Marcus Toe. It's phenomenal stuff. It doesn't, this is proof positive that even something as kind of normal as people, sitting around computers and standing around in suits can still be drawn very, very, in such an interesting way that, it'll just draw your eyes across the page and keep you reading. Honestly, that's probably what keeps me reading this book. The story is very good, though, because it's a solid read from beginning to end. I don't know if this is that new reader-friendly. I still think you probably want to read the first trade paperback, the first volume, before getting into this. But it's a solid story. It's a solid story.
I was going to ask you that.
It's a solid start, but I would still recommend reading the first arc. The first volume. Any other questions about that? It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I recommend it because it reads very well.
All right, well, is it time for clicks?
Let me do some quickie reviews. Let me just try to churn through what I have left on my list. It's really not much. It's really just Daredevil number 17. We're getting towards the end of Wade and Samney's run on Daredevil, and and I think I said this with the last issue. You can tell because the action is ramping up and the stakes are ramping up, and a lot of the groundwork that Wade laid. That Mark Waid laid down earlier in the series is starting to come back. Some of the characters that we hadn't seen in many, many issues are starting to come back and play a role. Basically, what we're dealing with is another edition of a final confrontation between Wilson Fisk and Daredevil. It's another version of that, but with a number of other characters being involved. And if you've been reading this series up until this point, there have been some real low points in this series. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that Daredevil, outing his secret identity and kind of flaunting the fact that he is, that Matt Murdock is Daredevil and running around in court in a red suit, acknowledging that he's Daredevil. I don't know if that's the best story that I've read in a long, about Daredevil ever. But now we've gotten to this point where it's wrapping up, and maybe it'll read better as a whole, in a collected edition for me. It just didn't read that well as it was going along, so I'm kind of glad to see it come to an end and see where Wade, concludes before the inevitable relaunch after Secret Wars. So that's it. That's my quick review. I think I covered all the books I read this week.
Well, does it feel at least like the confrontation with Fisk is something new, or does it feel like we've been here 100 times?
It's a variation on things that we've seen 100 times.
Okay.
It's hard to explain because there's definitely some.
Let me put it this way then. Does it feel like, hey, you're a longtime Daredevil fan and you like seeing these two go at it, so here's your battle royale that you want to see? Or is it more like, hey, there's a lot of people reading comics that haven't read a lot of old Daredevils, so we can reuse a bunch of this? It's
more the latter than the former.
Oh, well,
it's more the latter than the former, and it's really not, at this point, it's still, there's because of the inclusion of certain characters. Daredevil was never a team-up book, back in the day. And other than the random Spidey issues, right? This issue, they've pulled in, or at least this series, they've pulled in a few D-list characters as supporting characters, and that sort of ups, that sort of changes how things are played, especially because they're superpowered.
Hmm.
It's not just Foggy, it's not just Karen Page. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that changes the dynamic a little bit, and all these people have more superpowers than Daredevil. So that sort of changes the storytelling a little bit.
Hmm. All right.
I think that covers it. I think we're at Click of the Week time.
Click of the Week.
All right. Well, as much as I loved so much stuff this week, and I really wanted to, poor little out on the curb for one of my books that's going away. I just have to give it up to Thor's.
Yep.
I just can't.
Yep.
I cannot. Thor's is just where it's at. I mean, this is it. This is everything that was right in the world this week is in this book.
Just a great read. I fully endorse that. I agree, concur. Great read. It's one of the beyond a great surprise. Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies is a great surprise. This is far and away one of the Battle World Secret Wars books that I can't put down. I love actually rereading. For many of the reasons that we discussed earlier. Exactly.
Yeah, especially pulling through the artwork and picking stuff out in the background. Yeah.
Exactly. How about you, Tim?
Y'all think y'all are pulling me towards Thor's. Because I've said it a couple times, I haven't been enjoying all the Secret Wars tie-ins like I thought I would, but Thor's is one of the ones where I'm like, when I see it out, I'm like, yep, ready to read this.
Cool.
So yeah, it's a clean sweep.
Nice. Unanimous.
Wow.
Unanimous. I feel like we're all holding up signs that say 10, 10, 10.
Well, this is there's a click image for this cover in the Dropbox folder, so when you tweet it out, feel free to grab that.
Awesome.
We can all use it.
Exactly. Sounds good.
All right. So that does it for this week's episode of Comic Book Chronicles. Make sure to follow us on our individual Twitter accounts. I'm at TimDOGG98 and at CBCron. Agent 70 is at Agent_70. Dirt is at PCN_Dirt. And his website is popculturenetwork.com.
Woohoo! Yeah! Woohoo!
Which looks nice on the Windows 10, I hear.
Yeah!
It is. Windows 10 is nice, actually. Quite
Windows
enjoyable.
Windows Edge browser.
Nice.
And RowdyCat is at RowdyCat and at News Nerds Need. That does it for Comic Book Chronicles. We'll be back next Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And we are signing off.
Hey!